Less than 24 hours apart. Bam, we're live. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I was over here looking at how the Chicago mayor races, that lady, that fucking nightmare of a fucking mayor they had is gone. That's crazy. Oh my God. It's the reign of terror is over. Michael, what's up, brother?
What's up? What's happening?
Look at that beautiful last name. That's you eat crawfish.
I do eat crawfish. That is a good sign.
Right? That's what that last name means.
That's exactly it.
Michael, Caleb, Michael. It's Cazayoux.
Cazayoux, yep. What's up,
Cazayoux?
Caleb?
Nice to meet you,
Michael Cazayoux. Does anyone ever get that right? Like, do dudes from California, are they able to say that on the first try? Or
I have met maybe one or two people in my whole life that got it right the first time.
Right, that didn't like. I mean, the only reason why I got it right is because obviously I've heard your name a shitload of times. But like in the third, how about like you went to school in Louisiana?
No, so I went to like grade school and stuff, and then I went to college in Utah.
But and when you're in grade school, do the teachers get it right? Like they're like,
yeah.
Because they know.
I grew up in a town of 4,500 people. Everybody knows everybody, and my dad was a politician, so people knew my name in the little town.
Okay, and then they know how to pronounce, letters that are mushed together like that, right?
Yeah,
also, they know that OUX is you, Cazayoux.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you do you know your family's trip to the United States?
Yes. So I'm a European mutt. I've got Irish, French, some Scottish, and then some ambiguous other European in me.
Was your dad born here?
Yeah. My family's been in Louisiana for 4, 5, 6 generations.
Hey, is it those people are like predominantly French descendants there? Those are French people, like
Louisiana. Yeah. So
what France
Cajun means is people went from France to Nova Scotia.
That's Canada, right? That's Eastern Canada up in the cold.
Eastern Canada. That's like where some of, I think, the biggest Hicks in Canada live, is what I'm
awesome.
told. And they came down to Louisiana, and they were, as far as I know, they were quite a subclass, and they were very much looked down upon. And they had a very distinct culture, created a very distinct culture. And, now there are not many true Cajuns left, but in like especially Western Louisiana, on your way to Texas, there's some serious Cajuns, and they're awesome.
I spent some time in Houma, Louisiana, filming a movie, and it was like a different country. Good people, great people. Some of the nicest
going on in Houma.
Yeah, some of the nicest people I ever met, but like a totally like different, like dudes who like make a living like getting alligators, like a legit, like that's their job. Yeah, nice. Crazy stuff. A mutual friend of ours, Marsden Sawyer, about 6 months ago, said, "Oh, hey, I have a friend." He hit me up, Michael Cazayoux, and I recognized the name. I just didn't know from where. And would just like to shoot the shit with you. Can I give him your phone number? And you called, and we met. And I was like, wow, this is a really cool dude. After,
I felt the same way, man.
Yeah, you're a cool cat. And I was like, oh, and then I started looking into you, and on the phone, I got to know you a little bit. And now I know why I always heard the name, because of your entrenchment in the CrossFit space. And then you had a really amazing podcast. I didn't even know about that. A big podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, an amazing it had 1,840 5-star reviews on Apple. Crazy. 340 shows.
Yep. This is a great episode. This was Adee and I, we started doing, this is my wife, Adee. We started doing some episodes together talking about relationships, and those were some of my most downloaded episodes, up against people with millions of Instagram and YouTube subscribers.
Why did you stop?
I was bored for like a year, and I tried different, I'll back up a little bit. For the entire podcast, I allowed the content and the topics to evolve with my interests. And about a year ago is when I paused. But a year before that, I started just getting really bored with it, bored with the interview style. And so I started doing some solo podcasts. I started to only do in-person ones and not care at all about how big someone's following was. And it just wasn't interesting to me anymore. And in retrospect, the reason I was hanging on to it was maybe partly ego, partly like a sense of scarcity, which is like, I don't want to lose the audience. And what I realized by the lack of engagement that I had for the last year is I've already lost them. Like everyone can feel my lack of interest in this. And it's just not, I don't think it was very valuable anymore to anyone. And so I paused it. And then one of the things that Adee suggested to me was, she said, why don't you just get a co-host? You always have fun bantering with one of your buddies and things like that. And I couldn't think of anyone in the moment. And then a few months ago, I had the idea to start a new show with one of our mentors. Her name is Annie Lala. She's our relationship coach. And we're in the process of launching one right now, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, I spent some time on her account too, after finding your account. I do this show regularly where it's just myself and Caleb, or myself and Caleb and Souza. And I just play clips that I find just from around the internet. And she's going to be a wealth of information. She has some funny shit. She had this one post on there. It says, it's titled "When Two Wounds Fuck."
Nice.
Two like her. Wound. And I'm like, I even went over and told my wife, I'm like, look at the title of this video. She's like, oh, yeah, that's brilliant. Wow. Okay. And sorry, this is a little self-serving here. Why did you say you were only going to do them in person? Why did you switch to that? To make it more challenging, or?
No, because I thought, well, from experience doing some in-person ones, it always just felt like a more fulfilling experience. I got to really catch up with the person before or after, and it felt more like I was hanging out with a friend than I was doing this kind of work-related thing.
Yeah.
And that worked to some extent, but yeah, I was just done. I was just done with it for a while.
I recently, I have Dave Castro on the show periodically, and he told me that he won't come on anymore unless we do them in person. And I think he did that because he just wants to see me go in person. So I set up my studio so I could do it in person. But the thought of like having someone to my house and like having to talk to them,
yeah,
and then
it's a much bigger deal.
And then what if they don't leave?
Yes.
Like, what if they want to stay and be my friend? I'll be like, no, that was all just for the podcast. You must go.
Yep.
Yep. And I have a tendency to like people too. And like, I don't want to like, what if I say something stupid like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Then my whole day is fucked.
Huge mistake.
Did you do very many in person?
Towards the end, I probably did a dozen or 2 dozen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you dug in.
And, I feel fortunate that I'm in a really cool city where there are a lot of awesome people around. Austin is one of the kind of new hubs for thought leadership in the country. And so it worked out. I have no interest in, or never had any interest of like doing a bunch of traveling to do the in-person ones. But, having people over to my house or going over to their house worked for a little while.
Yeah, Austin really is turning into quite the spot, right?
Yeah, I think that it's already been growing for quite a while. And then the pandemic hit, and that whole 2-year period of weirdness happened. And I think a lot of people were attracted to the blend of ideas here or more so values. So there are a lot of driven people here, like there are in New York or parts of California. But what's distinct about this place, in my experience, is that they value community and even family more than their drive to succeed. And I think that's been really attractive, along with some of the politics during all the shutdowns. I think we're also pulling people here. But yeah, people like they're up to something, but they're more interested in connecting with people and having fun, which vibes really well with us as well.
The people that I'm trying to think of the people there. There's this guy Chris Williamson's there who has a podcast. Joe Rogan's there, right? That you know Chris? Chris is a buddy of yours?
I do. Yeah, I think I was his second podcast guest ever.
Well, he came from England, right?
He did, yeah.
So he's there, and then Joe Rogan's there, and then that guy Lex Friedman is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, this guest that I've had on a couple times, Nikki Rodriguez, has opened up a jiu-jitsu studio there called B Team.
I think I've heard of it. That's B Team. Is that like the really incredible team, like one of the best in the world?
Yeah, the guy who's the best guy in the world, Gordon Ryan, and this guy Nikki Rodriguez, they had a breakup. And Nikki and his team in his portion of the team landed in Austin, and they've kept a really kind of I mean, it's fun from my perspective. They've kept a fun narrative. They've really kind of exploded the sport through their bickering, right? They have a feud of two, and it's allowed a lot of people to engage on a pretty crazy narrative. That's him and Gordon. I think that's him and Gordon wrestling right there. And so they have a pretty gnarly internet fight just constantly going where they make fun of each other.
And what do you think? Do they actually have beef, or are they manipulating the media?
Both. Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. They definitely there's definitely some tension there. But anyway, so it's and I'm sure like, and those are just the things I'm interested in. So and then that Kill Tony thing is there, right?
Yep, Tony Hinchcliffe. Elon is here.
Elon is there.
Yeah, a lot of big folks.
And I think that Kill Tony show, I've heard, is the largest live YouTube show on the internet. I think they get like 300,000 live viewers. I mean, I think they claim that in the beginning, which is like, if it's not true, I just like it that they claim it. John Wellborn is down there too. Okay, so
I think he lives out by us. We live sort of out in the country in a place called Dripping Springs, like 40 minutes outside of the city. We just moved out here.
Wow, that's an awesome.
I think he's out here.
You in 2012 and 2013, you were at the CrossFit Games on the winning affiliate team.
Yep. I'm sure you remember Tommy Hackenbrook.
Yeah,
I was on his team.
And did you guys qualify? And there was that crazy buff dude, something Ford, on your team.
Yeah, that was Brennan Fjord.
Fjord.
He was on the team the next year after I was done. So I think 2014 maybe they went back again, or 2015, and either won it. Yeah, I think they won it. I think that the year they beat Rich. They won it maybe 2015.
Please, not on this show. Don't say that on this show.
You can't say Rich.
No, you can't say anyone beat Rich on this show. That's sacrilege.
Oh yeah, cut that.
Okay, yes. Michael, were you on that team that qualified through Denver one year, and you had a girl on your team who was breastfeeding in between events? Black girl?
Yes, Taylor Richard Lindsay.
What a beast.
I
remember seeing that and filming there and just being like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in CrossFit. Still, maybe to this day it is. Winning events with you guys. You were on that team. It was you and her and Tommy.
Yep. Yeah, and Adrian, who I'm sure you know.
Conway.
Yep.
Okay.
And then a gal named Mary Lampus, and then Aaron Binion.
Absolutely
Taylor was just a freak athlete. Just learning anything new, she picked it up more quickly than just about anyone I've ever met.
And I'm remembering that correctly, right? You guys would win an event. She'd walk off the field and let the baby just clasp onto her tit and feed it.
Yep.
Grow a baby at halftime. Yeah, that shit was amazing. I was really and she was down to earth, like not stressed out or anything. Just what a cool experience. Did you have thoughts on that when that was going down?
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Just normal to you.
I think that probably shaped the way that I kind of assume strength in mothers maybe a little bit more because of that.
Yeah, that'll change your whole perspective.
Yeah, looking back, that's incredibly badass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
as you say the chill piece, I think one of the strengths of our team was just we were very laid back in between events, joking around, taking things seriously, but also having a lot of fun with it. And in any sport, and definitely in the CrossFit community, as it was like this brand new thing, I think people just stress themselves out too much. And I think it really served us to have a lot of fun with it.
Jeffrey Birchfield, Salt Lick Barbecue. Yeah. When I think of breastfeeding, I would see my wife like work out and have the baby there, and then just like literally right after a workout, throw the baby on the boob. And I always thought, oh yeah, it's probably just tastes like those candy bars or chocolate, when salt is on there. It's probably just the most amazing thing for the baby. Did you ever have a dog and every time you're done working out, he comes over and licks your face? Like he just can't get enough of the salt. Did you ever have a dog like that?
Yeah, a little bit.
And you're just like, oh yeah, they're just getting the salt.
Uh-huh.
They're just totally into it. Trish, I breastfed my stepson at an event and everyone loses their shit. No one. Where do you live? On the moon? No one cares anymore.
Loses their shit in which way? Like, oh my God, you're amazing, or oh my God, don't pull your titty out in public.
That's the way I took it. I took it as the latter. I read into it as the latter. Jeff says that's actually a barbecue joint in Dripping Springs. The place is.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I was like,
okay. Weird. I thought okay. I'm stuck on the baby on the boobs. A barbecue is to breastfeeding, is to dogs to licking faces. What? Oh, there it is. Salt Lake Barbecue. You been there?
I have. Yeah.
Oh,
I would say it's like a little bit better than mediocre, but it has an amazing outdoor area.
Ambiance.
And it's really popular. Ambiance. Also, this is a really slick platform. Are we live on YouTube right now or what? Yeah, this is great.
We are.
I've never seen this. And then afterwards, you can chop it up and.
You could. We don't.
Okay, got it.
Like we're like, hey, nice having you on, Michael, and then I run away and play with my kids, and and
that's great.
we used to have a couple more people helping us, and you'd see some stuff on Instagram. But now we're just I don't know what we're doing now, but it's good. The show's fucking growing like crazy. So
hell yeah, man.
I don't want to fuck with it. So that's pretty amazing. I want to go back from there. It's crazy that you've won the games twice. That's got to be an amazing experience. I want to go back. So you're born in Louisiana?
Yep.
Siblings?
2 younger sisters.
And
I've got a massive extended family. Adee comes from an immigrant family. Her parents moved from Israel, and they moved to Toronto, and she grew up with very, very small like holiday gatherings. And she always jokes when she comes to Christmas at my place, it's like 50, 60 people, and that's only half like one side of the family.
Right, crazy. Oh, where did you meet her?
In San Diego at Barbell Shrugged Mastermind.
That's a
business event.
No, wow.
Yep.
She's a fitness girl. She was into exercising.
Very much. Yeah, she was a bronze medalist at Canadian Nationals in weightlifting, and she started working against gravity.
Oh God, it's a small world.
Very into fitness.
Holy shit! And she doesn't. You guys don't own that anymore. You guys are married.
We are married.
And so she doesn't own that anymore.
Correct. We sold that almost 2 years ago.
Oh, is that congratulations in order or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now I want to go back to your youth, but fuck this. So you started Brute Strength?
I did. Yeah. Me and a partner, Matt Bruce, and also Tommy Hackenbrook.
And tell me what was and what is Brute Strength?
Brute Strength. Yeah, we started out just programming, doing online programming for people that wanted to go to the games, like people that saw themselves and a lot that were very high level athletes. And then we realized that the market for that was quite small. And so we branched out and started making programs for people that just wanted to compete better in their gym and in the open. And then into weightlifting. And then we started a program called Brute Body, which was more geared towards people that wanted to look better naked. And so very thoughtful, intentional online programming. And one of the things that set us apart for some amount of time was we created a team of experts that were collaborating on these programs rather than one person trying to be the expert in all of the different modalities. And so we would come together and create programs for our highest level athletes, and then for the big groups that we would run.
And what year did you guys start that?
2014. Yeah, end of 2014.
Who else was in the programming space when you guys started that?
Yeah, so CJ for sure, Ben for sure, and I would say those were the biggest without a doubt. And
was Ben's called Comp Train at that time?
I can't remember. I think it might have been CFNE still.
Okay.
And then there was a guy. Man, this is funny because yesterday I saw an old video and this guy's picture popped up. Is it like the Outlaw Way? Was that a thing?
Oh, yeah. He was Elizabeth Akinwale's boyfriend or husband or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that guy.
Controversy or something like that.
Yeah.
So he was, I think, sort of big. And I can't remember who else. I think there were definitely some more people, but it was sort of Ben and CJ were the biggest as far as I remember.
And what's that guy's name? Let me see if you can let's go to About. I want to see if I can remember that guy's name. He was very distinct, right? He was short. Yeah. He had big hair.
Yeah, he had a huge beard and tattoos, and he created a sort of cult following.
Yeah. Okay, so and you guys did that thinking you guys created that. It seemed, oh, that's not him though.
No.
If that's him, he looks totally different. Let me see. No, I don't recognize it. If that's him, man, you've really changed. Good job.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know.
I remember him being pudgy, a little bit more round, more rotund.
I don't know, man.
God, he really.
I don't think that's the guy. I don't think
he got really handsome.
Yeah.
All right, and you guys started that. That was like you were thinking, well, shit. What was the thought behind that? We're already doing it for ourselves. We might as well turn this like we might as well turn this into a business, make money doing something we love.
So I was right when I stopped competing, I became a strength and conditioning coach, and I worked at Southern Utah University.
What year is this? 2015?
13. I started.
13. Okay.
And because I had a back injury, and so I knew I was going to have to stop competing, and so I worked at SUU and then LSU, and LSU in the college strength and conditioning world is sort of the pinnacle. And I realized that. So Matt Bruce on the far right. I realized that I wasn't happy there. And if I wasn't happy there, I probably wasn't going to be happy anywhere in that industry. And while I was there, well, just to back up a little bit, this guy, Matt, he got me the position at LSU, and I was really grateful for him. And I said, Matt, how can I repay you? And he said, I know that you're programming on the side for some individuals. I was just doing that, to make a little extra cash. And he said, why don't we team up? You write the whole program and just tell me where to put the weightlifting stuff in it. And I said, okay, let's do it. And at the time I thought, okay, I'll continue making a little extra money on the side, and I'm going to pay Matt back. And I wanted only to do programming, nothing to do with business whatsoever. And so then we did that. And then I decided that I was going to be done, at some point in the next year, I decided I wasn't going to continue following the strength and conditioning path. And I was chatting with Tommy Hackenbrook, and he said he was looking to get rid of one of his gyms in Salt Lake City. I think he had 3 at the time. And he gave me an offer to come out, run one for 6 months. And then at the end of it, if I wanted to buy it from him, I could buy it from him. And so I decided I was going to do that with a guy named Jake Hutton, who's a good friend of mine. And we went out there. And when we went out there, another part of the kind of package is he said, I know you and Matt are doing this programming thing. Why don't we leverage the Ute CrossFit name and try to make this thing a little bit bigger? And so I thought, okay, maybe we can make a little more money doing this on the side, but no intention whatsoever of turning it into an actual business. I still only wanted to do the programming and let other people do the rest. And so I get out there and I started playing around with Instagram for the first time and just having a lot of fun on there. And pretty quickly I saw, like, we started just bringing a bunch of people in to this new company that we called Brute. And I saw pretty quickly that the scale at which we could impact people and the flexibility and freedom that we would have doing an online company was exponentially greater than an in-person gym. Within that 6 months, I realized I absolutely don't want to run a gym right now. And we decided to just go full on into Brute.
But you kept that place ended up becoming like Brute headquarters, right? I remember seeing pictures and stuff of like athletes working out in their stuff. Wasn't there a guy named, I'm going to confuse him with a games athlete that's currently, there was a guy there with the last name Fowler. Was it a Nick Fowler?
Nick Fowler, yep.
Yeah, and he was there too, right?
Yep.
Okay. It's so weird. That time CrossFit was growing so much that there were these, someone said the guy's name was Rudy. That's right, Rudy.
Rudy. That's right. Rudy Nielsen?
Yeah, that sounds right.
No.
That sounds right. We'll put this together with the big group of people. Okay. And it's interesting because those types of things would pop up on my radar and I would know. And I think I remember Brooke Entz went there.
Brooke Entz, yep. I coached her for a while and she was a good friend at the time. And
what other athletes went there that I would know?
That you would know? We coached Cara Webb for a while.
Oh, okay.
Fikowski for a while. There are a bunch, and I'm forgetting. I've been out of it for 4 or 5 years, but those are a couple of the biggest, I would say.
Okay,
Roman, as of most recently.
Oh, that's right. And that's always a little weird, right? When a big athlete like him, he was with Nick, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I heard that he was with Nick. Oh my God, that's Brooke. Look how young she looks. Is that you on the right?
That's me.
Holy cow. I remember. I know exactly where that is. Those are the ice baths over there underneath those tents back there. Holy cow. Stacy Tovar. God, crazy. Did you have fun in those days? I had a blast.
I had so much fun, man. Competing, coaching, it was so good.
Yeah, it was a blast, right? Were you there in Southern California when Brooke won?
Mm-hmm.
Were you her coach then?
Yep.
Dude, that was fucking nuts.
Yep.
That was kind of out of nowhere. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, obviously we're so pumped for her.
Yeah, I mean, out of nowhere maybe not for you because you guys put in the hard work, but for those of us who were kind of just like the pundits and the filmmakers, like, I mean, we knew she would do well, and I would see her around, but I had no idea she was going to come to Del Mar, California, and wreck shop. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, she went to regionals and the games, and I would say just performed at her best, and she just really stepped up to the plate for those two events.
What happened to her? Why didn't she continue on that trajectory, do you think, as an athlete? Do you think that is it hard staying?
She went back the next year. I don't think she qualified, but yeah, she continued to compete for 2 or 3 or more years, and I think just wasn't having as much success anymore on the competition side, but was having a ton of success professionally. Right. And I think it just made sense for her life to make the switch. Kind of as simple as that.
Do you think that it was because of her her performance, or do you think the field got just better, or both?
I think a little bit of both. I think that, yeah, I would say a little bit of both.
Because she came in hot then, right? And I mean, she was kind of at an upward trajectory like this, and then she did kind of just vanish from that scene. But you're right, professionally, she still was everywhere. You know what's crazy? I don't see her anywhere now. She's in the sphere that you run in. Do you see her at all?
I haven't been on social media very much in several years, so I'm not really in a sphere on the internet per se.
Gotcha. All right. All right.
I'm trying to get back into it now.
Why did you break away from it?
Yeah, ever since I started using Facebook, I guess in like 08 or 09, I would be on it for a year and then off of it for a year. And the reason I would always get off is I could see, even when I was only 19 years old, the impact that it had on my like attention. It was so distracting. I could see that I was comparing myself to others way more than when I didn't use it. And yeah, I've never found a way to have a real healthy relationship with it. And honestly, I know very, very few people that do. I think many people have been on it for so long without really questioning its impact on them, that now they just feel like that's the normal way to live life. But when they take a break from it, they realize how like the mental load that being so plugged in is having on them. So anyway, I've just never had a real great relationship with it. However, it is just so incredible for spreading a message and building businesses. And, you know, I've got a new business that I really care about and that I want to attract people to. And so I'm trying to get back in a little bit.
Have you seen someone get destroyed by social media? Like by destroyed, I mean, not, they didn't literally get destroyed, but like had a friend and someone posted something about them and it like devastated them. Can you think of that? Or like people who've been like, who get rocked by social, like, do you know any people like who look at their likes and they're like upset that I hear people, I can't even believe it, but I hear people say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this didn't get more likes." I'm literally fucking dumbfounded when I hear that. Or there was, recently CrossFit, what was the mistake they made? Oh, they did the open and they put the wrong weights out. So they did an open workout and the athletes perform with the wrong weights out there, right? Big, huge event, probably cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. They invite out Laura Horvat, who's, a legend, a legend in our sport. Mm-hmm. And then Gabby Magawa, a big up and comer, and they have them do the workout and they put the wrong weights out there. And then they apologize on all three platforms. They apologize on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And I'm thinking, holy shit, that's so poignant, because the person who made that decision is someone who's lost in social media. Like they think that they have an obligation. It's like I'll give you another example. You know, like when people, like something happens in their life and they make a big post, like they go through a divorce or something and they post it on their social media and they have like 300,000 followers. And I'm thinking, like, do you think you have like some sort of obligation? Right. Like it's so weird. You lost yourself. You forgot that you just nailed it too. You forgot this is a tool for yourself. Mm-hmm. This isn't your mom. This isn't your dad. This isn't your dog where you're leaving town and you need to find someone to take care of it. You owe nobody anything. And so they made this post apologizing on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and all it did is it was a breakfast bell for all the haters. So then all the haters come out and tell you what a dipshit you are. If you want to apologize, just make a simple apology at CrossFitGames.com. But no one would have made that mistake 20 years ago, mm-hmm. because everyone kind of knew social media was a tool. And now there's this whole generation, I think you were describing, that's lost in it. Mm-hmm. They think it's like some sort of, they think it's a sentient being.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems sort of like the new town square. It feels real. It feels like this is where everyone I care about are congregating. And so it feels like if there's disapproval, there's disapproval from the people that really matter to me, which, is almost always false. And, I can speak to your question was, do I know anyone that has been impacted by things not being liked enough? And, I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but me.
Yeah.
And, I think a part of what drove me to addiction as a teenager was a hypersensitivity to social approval, maybe a little bit more or a lot more than my peers, but it is part of human nature to be sensitive to approval or disapproval, right? And it feels like if they don't like what I just posted, especially if, especially if you're being intentional and trying hard,
right,
that they don't like me and they don't approve of me, or they think I'm lame. And, conceptually, I understand that's not what that means. But then there's sort of a war going on inside of me. There's a kind of a higher self that is calming myself down, but there's a lower self that just feels tension and wants to keep checking it and wants to think about how to do it differently in the future. And, I feel fortunate that I've built the skills to just watch that whole thing go on inside of me and not allow it to kind of ruin my day or drive my behavior. But it's definitely there.
You kind of couched it in a way that I could guess I could kind of relate. If you're making a post, I guess I guess I don't know why I post. I guess I post just for fun.
That's great.
I mean that must be bullshit. That's bullshit. I don't post just for fun. But I guess if you're posting with the intention that you're trying to generate attention for a post, the intention is for intention, and you don't get it. Yeah, that would be a letdown. It's so I don't understand I'll post something that will be like, hey, here's the evidence the vaccine is killing people. Here it is. And it'll have like 3 likes and I don't even know how many likes and 1 comment like, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah. 150 unsubs.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I just fucking could have saved your life. What are you doing? Like be cool. I just saved your life. And then yesterday I hardly ever post anything of myself, like doing stuff. Yesterday I posted myself doing some dumbbell snatches. It has 124 comments or something like that. That's more comments than I've gotten in. I'm like, who the fuck why are you commenting? It's a 50-year-old fucking dude doing dumbbell snatches in his fucking garage. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I followed it up with I followed it up immediately. I was pissed off. Oh, and look what I put over here to the next it right away. I'm like, all right, fuck you. Pfizer's killing people. Like, this is me. I'm just pissed.
Go to the caption of the dumbbell snatches. Let's take a look at this.
What?
There's
throwing
no
the
caption.
70. Oh, it's throwing the 70-pound around today like it's my trabajo, which is just a fucking total lie. It's throwing me around. I'm not throwing shit around. And so it's like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, it's just like, and I used an R. Kelly song. I should have gotten in trouble. Or no, it's K Rel. Oh. Anyway, I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand the I don't understand the people out there.
Yeah. Those are all no reps because you put your hand on your knee too.
Oh, and that's another crazy thing. Fuck you and my no reps. Those are all fucking brilliant. I'll put my hand on your mom's knee while I do it. Jordan Barataran.
What's up, Jordan?
God, that's a man. Michael Cazayoux.
He's a fucking lumberjack. This guy.
Look at it. He's even got the plaid.
That's a good shirt. Point. I didn't pick that up. I've started wearing more plaid since moving out to the country, especially when I wield my chainsaw.
You have a chainsaw?
I do have a chainsaw. We had a storm here where it got just way colder than usual, and it was raining, not snowing, raining, and then it froze on the trees, and then that happened over and over for 5 days. We had hundreds of multi-100-pound limbs fall all over our land. Hundreds.
How much property are you on?
We have 9 acres.
Oh my goodness. And so you went down to Home Depot and got a chainsaw?
I did.
Did you research them first?
No, I've used the chainsaw a little bit.
Oh. Holy
so I was
shit.
cutting up some wood.
Have you used a chainsaw, Caleb? What the fuck are you laughing at? Have you used a chainsaw?
We have the same thing happen in Nebraska, where we just have limbs falling like and blocking roads and shit. Like the only way to get them out is with a chainsaw.
I have speaking about embarrassed, I have this chainsaw, but it's on the end of a pole. And
Yeah, pole saw.
Yeah, it's a pole saw. And I think it's even electric. No, it's battery. It's battery operated.
Which is electric.
This thing couldn't cut my dick off. But it's probably like it's probably like one of the manliest things I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I pull that thing out. I'm like, come on, boys. Let's go in the backyard and cut some branches.
Yeah, those things are fun, man.
It uses a whole thing of oil every time I use it. Like you got to fill. Do you have to fill the oil up on yours every time you use it?
Well, it uses a gas oil mixture. So they run out together.
And do you pull this? You pull a string?
Yep.
Holy shit!
I'll send you a video next time I'm starting it up.
Yeah, I wonder if that would get a lot of likes.
Preferably.
Yes. If you put your hand on my knee.
I do follow this guy Hunter McIntyre. Not nice. I follow this guy Hunter McIntyre, and I like it. He cuts wood with an axe, like
nice.
As part, and I like watching that. I don't know why.
I bet you do.
It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling. Oh my goodness. Battery chainsaw. Thank you. Pride flag. You're a good dude. All right. So you're raised in Louisiana and a good childhood?
Yeah, great childhood, man.
Are you a handsome kid? Do girls like you?
Yeah, I was a kind of a popular kid. I had girlfriends and stuff, and my parents loved each other. And
oh shit, sorry, Michael. It is a Ryobi. I know it sucks. God damn it! I wish no one would have called me out on that.
Yeah,
that's the cheap shit at Home Depot. Damn it.
That's right.
Okay, fine, whatever. I only use it once and throw it away and buy a new one. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you're a handsome kid.
Like Justin Bieber with his apples. He just takes the first bite of an apple
and just throws it.
Throws it.
Good. That's a good dude. Wear socks once, throw them away.
That's right.
Okay. Handsome young lad, good parents, growing up in Louisiana.
Yep.
And the kids liked you.
The kids liked me. And around, on my 9th birthday, it is the first time I drank by myself. I took 2 shots of whiskey, and over
9 years old.
9 years old, I had 2.
Can you give me the details of that? How you ended up with whiskey at 9? I drank a little champagne at 5. I was fucked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my 9th birthday, and I had a slumber party at my grandma's house. My dad's sleeping on a couch on the other side of the room, and I'm behind a kitchen island with 2 older cousins, and we open the island, these little drawers, and there's a bunch of alcohol, and one of them says, "Oh, we should drink some of this Jack Daniels," and we drank a couple.
How old
shots.
are they? How old were they?
They were 10. They were 10.
Big kids.
And yeah, very big kids, the cool kids. And yeah, we drank it, and I felt that warm rush, a little lower inhibitions, a little more comfortable around them. And man, the acceptance from the older kids was just
you really remember that, huh?
I do. And yeah, the reason I started talking about this is, I was well liked, and I always fit in. And and when I was 13 or 14, I started smoking weed and then taking pills. And
nicotine? Did you fuck with nicotine?
I did. Yeah, I pretended to smoke cigarettes when I was 9, and then at some point, someone pointed out that I wasn't inhaling.
Right.
And yeah, when I was 15 or 16, I started going to therapy and then AA because my parents thought I had a problem, and maybe I did already. And when that happened, I started to feel like I didn't belong. I just felt different. And despite being popular, I just always felt uneasy and alone in a way after that, which I think drove me further into addiction.
Uh, the uneasy part, it's kind of, those are two interesting things to feel together. Because when I feel uneasy, I want to be alone.
Mm.
I want to like look at, I want to like, like when you hear something in a room and you open the door and you look in there and you want to see what it is. It's like, I become very curious what that uneasiness is. And I want to look at it with no one around.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you would feel uneasy and alone. Did you not like feeling alone? Like when you say that, you mean that in a negative way?
Yeah, I really did not like feeling alone. And what I'm talking about is like I would be surrounded by friends. So technically not alone, but I would feel different. And I guess to put some detail to it, I was spending 3-4 nights sometimes going to AA meetings.
Mm-hmm. Were you the only kid there? Were you the only kid there?
I was by far the youngest. Yes. By far.
Just
by
all
10
these
years.
fucking weathered motherfuckers in Louisiana.
Yeah. Extremely.
I can only imagine. Yes.
And yeah, there was a part of me that was going to check a box, and sometimes my dad was literally in the car outside, but so checking a box, and then part of me that just felt like my life was not going in a good direction and felt drawn to the depth of conversation, just the realness in the room. But then all my friends were hanging out together.
Shit.
So I just felt different.
Do you think that the thing that I'm kind of glomming onto is you were in this room with just like real people who were like digging in the dirt, and then your friends, it's just like superficial shit, just like capping on people, getting new shoes, smoking weed?
No, I didn't. I wasn't picking up on that at the time. I was still very much wanting to do everything my friends did, but felt like attracted to the depth in the AA meetings. But what I mean when I say I felt different is like I told myself they all have a relationship with each other that they no longer have with me. Like they spend way more time together than they do with me, and I'm just living this different existence.
Hey, when you would hang out with them, would they be getting high and drinking?
Yes, and I would be too.
Oh, and then so you'd be high and getting drinking, and then go back to AA the next day.
I would go loaded to the AA meetings many times, probably most times.
Holy shit! Oh, that's a struggle. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. You couldn't enjoy either, right? You were stuck between two worlds. You couldn't enjoy getting fucked up, and you couldn't because you were. It's like do you remember Sundays and you had school on Monday? I hated Sundays. I'm so glad my life's not like that anymore.
Yes,
I fucking hate that. I'm so glad I never have to be like, oh, it's Sunday, and I'm stressing the whole time about Monday morning.
Right.
Your whole life is like that, right?
I was putting a mask on for every different group of people that I spent time with. So that I had this kind of junky risk taker mask for my friends. I had the like wise young guy mask for the AA people. I had this good son mask for my parents and family, and I had never even glimpsed the real me as a kid.
Did you? I don't think I did either. Did you? And I really wanted to make my parents happy, and I wasn't very good at it. Did you want to make your parents happy?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I had great parents. My mom and dad loved the shit out of me. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay that I kind of lost myself in wanting to make them happy. Just if you're a parent and you see, like my kids do that, they're in that they've lost a little bit of themselves and they just want to make me happy. But then what that does, I guess, is put a shitload of responsibility on me to make sure I don't take their eye off them, because and I don't take my eye off of where I'm leading them. Right. Like, do you think at some point, like maybe your dad should have been like, fuck you, we're moving. You're not going to be around those. You're not going to do any drinking anymore. I'm taking you to Kenya. We're going to live out in the desert for 4 months. Like, that's what I think I would do to my kids.
So I think I have multiple answers. I don't regret anything that happened in my past because it got me to where I am today, which I'm so grateful for. My entire family is grateful for having gone through what we went through. We're so much closer as a result of it.
Yeah.
And if my son was getting into addiction when he was 15 or 16, yeah, maybe I would consider what you're talking about, because in retrospect,
like I'd go nuclear. I'd fucking just sell the house. I would kidnap him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I would move. And I don't think anyone can know until they're in that situation. You know, I know that they were just doing the very best they could with the
Right.
mental and physical resources that they had. And I think they made a really courageous decision to send me away when I was 17. I just imagine it was so painful for them, and they did it anyway. And
where did they send you?
To Utah. I went to a wilderness therapy program.
Oh, what was that? What's that called?
Second Nature.
Oh, is there one called Outward Bound?
Outward Bound. Yep. Yeah, I think as far as I know, like a similar deal to Outward Bound.
Yeah, one of my friends did that too. I thought one of the things is that they didn't take kids who were
this one does.
addicts.
Outward Bound might not.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you were using steadily from 9 years old to
No, it's basically 14. But I started experimenting with stuff when I was 9.
Okay. And then like I got drunk for the first time when I was 5, and then I took a hiatus. Probably like I took
Nice.
a 10.
You were wise, man.
I took a 10-year break.
You saw where that was headed.
So freshman, sophomore, and junior year, basically doing it all, meaning smoking weed and drinking and smoking cigarettes. Anything crazier than that? Any like meth or coke?
Yeah, but both of those, and ecstasy, and I was taking painkillers and benzos every day for years, and then I got into OxyContin, and then right before I left, I started.
Wow, that's hardcore. You started what?
I started shooting up cocaine and OxyContin.
At what point did you want out? Like, was there a point like after the first year you want out, and then it was just 2 more years of just this teeter totter of in and out, in and out?
I felt an increasing amount of shame due to just living out of line with the values that were instilled in me from my parents. But I thought that the solution was to be more liked by these friends that were also doing hard drugs.
Yeah.
And to get more acceptance and admiration and respect from my peers. I thought that was the solution. And I just didn't see the option of getting out entirely didn't even occur to me. And so when I was sent away, I would say I was partially willing when I was sent away. I was a minor, so they could send me whether I wanted to or not, but I was definitely partially willing. But I had read this book called Scar Tissue, which is Anthony Kiedis's autobiography. And in it, he goes to a number of like 30-day rehabs in Malibu, and it sounded really cush. And, he hung out with hot chicks every now and then. I thought I was going to go to one of those.
Oh, shit.
And then when I found out I was going to live in the desert for 9 weeks, I was pissed. And then when I found out I was going to go to a 9-month inpatient treatment center after that, I was not happy about it at all. And when I got to that inpatient treatment, I played ball for about a month. And then I realized my 18th birthday was coming up in about 3 or 4 months. And I completely shut down. I didn't do any therapy, any schoolwork, and I completely shut down until my birthday. And I had every intention of leaving.
And did you?
So 18th birthday comes around. Everyone knows I'm leaving. I packed both of my bags. I packed all of my shit in 2 big black trash bags. And I had written down my plan every day in my journal, probably multiple times a day. This is my grand plan. I was going to carry my shit, walk down to the 7-Eleven. I was going to steal 2 40-ounce cans of beer, just because I was just so miserable and needed to escape. and then I was going to go pawn. I knew I had an iPod and a pair of like Ray-Bans or Oakley glasses, pawn those, hoping I could get a Greyhound bus ticket, go back to Louisiana. And then because I was born with a genetic back disorder, and I had back pain starting when I was 13, I knew I could lie to doctors and get a prescription for opiates. And so
wow, this is a thorough plan.
I was going to get opiates from a bunch of different doctors, and I was just going to start selling. And that was the life that I was looking forward to. So then my birthday hits, and yeah, there it is. That's not good.
Let's talk about that. I'll make a note here. I want to ask you about that surgery. Okay, go on. So
my 18th birthday comes, and I have everything.
Can I go back
packed.
1 second? So sorry. So it was you went away to this camp for how many weeks? 7 weeks?
9 weeks.
9 weeks at the camp. And then then it's going to be another 9 months at a facility, a rehab facility.
Yep.
And then you're there for 2 months, and then there's the escape plan.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So the day of escape arrives.
Yep. And I was obviously crying out for help, because technically I could have just walked out. But what I did instead is I went into my therapist's office once I had packed up, and I spent 3 or 4 hours in there just with him and another therapist, sort of trying to talk me into staying. And I just remember bawling my eyes out, just so terrified, because my parents had made it clear that they weren't going to support me. I wasn't going to come and live with them, and I was on my own. And I was caught between feeling desperate to use drugs because I didn't want to feel what I was feeling, and terrified of what would happen to my whole life if I stepped out of that door. And then they can't, they finally say, okay, we have other people we need to see. You got to make a decision here. And I say, I'm going to leave, but I'm just going to call and tell my mom that I'm going before I go. And I call, and she picks up the phone, and she was at the beach, and she had been expecting me. And she answers, and she's immediately crying. And her voice sounded.
What do you mean she was expecting you?
Because I had been telling them for.
Oh, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Fuck you, I'm out of here. Right. And so she was expecting that I was leaving. And so she assumed I was calling to finalize it and let her know. And I just remember, I'll probably never forget that moment. Her voice was so pitiful and broken as she was trying to get her words out. And she was begging me. She said, "Michael, please don't do this to me. I feel like I'm losing a son today." And I sobbed again more.
Yeah.
And in the end, I couldn't do it to her. I couldn't break her heart.
Yeah.
And so I decided to stay. And in the beginning, I was doing it for her. And then I was doing it for my family. And after a month or two, I started to invest in therapy and just do what all of the other guys were doing, which was trying to tune into what I was feeling, share my stories. And I started to glimpse a future that was more compelling to me than what I had been dreaming up for myself before, which is one of freedom and of possibility. I felt the freest I had ever felt in my body, in my mind. I felt accepted for who I really was, not for the masks that I was putting on. And
in this facility, you felt this?
I felt that. Yeah. Because there are 10, 15 other guys that are going through the same thing.
Did you feel like a failure because you didn't escape? Was it like this fucking kind of this gross failure?
Not really.
No.
And
okay.
I've never thought about it this way until now, but I think it was maybe important for me to almost leave, but then decide not to, because I was expressing my autonomy.
Yeah.
I've always been hyper independent, and I need to make decisions for myself. And I needed to maybe prove to myself, like, okay, I'm doing this of my own volition. No one's controlling me anymore.
Now that you have a kid, you must trip on what you put your mom through, right? Can you imagine? Oh shit. Just now, the whole time you're telling me the story, I'm pretending like it's one of my kids. And I'm tripping.
Yeah,
I'm like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have had kids. I mean, that must have fucking fucked her up. What a crazy emotional journey. I like what you said too, that you don't regret any of it, and your family doesn't regret any of it. I mean, it really is true. People don't understand. It's like those are treasure troves of experiences you have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was literally shit at the time, and now it's somehow turned to just pure gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I could prescribe, I don't know if this would be the one thing, but I would prescribe this to every family in the world, which would be hire or consult with a third party, an objective third party, to have deep discussions with your whole family. You know, maybe some families don't really need the third party. You go ahead.
What's that look like? What do you mean? You kind of lost me there.
Yeah, so basically have family therapy. Do family therapy.
Do it.
And you don't necessarily need it if you have a family culture of just having deep discussions as things arise, as tensions arise, as differences of opinions arise. But most people don't. And, you know, now they're in a place where they have a lot of unresolved tension in their family. And it would really help to have someone to help them navigate through the murkiness of those tough conversations. Am I making sense now?
Kind of. I'm kind of a rock in these things. I just need an example. So you're saying, like, if like mom and dad and like there's 3 siblings and one of the siblings is coming out gay, don't, like, the whole family should sit down together and be like, yo, Johnny's coming out gay. And then the mom's like, that's so hard for me because I wanted you to be straight and have kids, and just talk it out. Like, build that fucking relationship. Maybe you got to start that shit early.
Absolutely,
and then the kid yells back, "You're so selfish. It's not about you." And then you just have it out.
Yeah, and so yes, do all,
and then also, or like maybe like your siblings got together. Sorry, Michael, and then they say, "Mom, Dad, we want to tell you something. Michael's fucking starting to shoot up," and you're like, you're saying just have that powwows.
Yes. And the part about,
I would feel betrayed, Michael. Like when I hear about interventions like my friends' wives have done to them, like my friends on drugs, and they do a fucking intervention on them. I'm like, if my wife fucking did that to me, I would fucking go out and fuck her sister. Like, I would be pissed. I would feel betrayed. What about that part? No?
Betrayed by the people like coming together to surprise you with an intervention? Is that what you're
asking?
Yeah,
just my wife. Like if my wife did that, I guess I'm conflating ideas. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun. That's intervention's different.
I would say my smaller self would chalk it up as a betrayal. My higher self would see that they love me so much, they're willing to risk my being defensive and my distancing myself and my backlash at them for my health and for my life.
Right.
And yeah, there's a piece, the reason I recommend possibly a third party, an objective third party, like a trained person, is very few people have the communication skills to navigate those tough conversations. We just don't value that in our society. And that's part of the reason why we don't have conversations when we need to have them. And we wait until they become really big deals. Like, what if we had them when the problems were in their infancy, right? And we could come up with solutions together, and we could love people, love people enough so that they don't have to keep making the same mistakes.
Yeah, you really nailed it. Sometimes when one of my kids is hurt, I feel like just getting the whole, like emotionally hurt, like something happened, right? Like he feels like the other kids are mean to him. I feel like just getting the family together and holding hands around the kid, and just we all take turns telling them we love them. like some
I love that,
like
man.
some hippie circle. They
Yeah,
used to
man.
do this. They used to do this thing at in Del Mar. Invictus did it. This is kind of a weird tie-in, but they did a love tunnel for Josh Bridges, and the whole affiliate would hold hands like this, like 60, 100 people, and they'd make a tunnel, and he would run through it, and they called it the love tunnel. And I fucking love that. I was like,
Because he was a little bit shorter than everyone and he had a chip on his shoulder.
But I don't know. I mean, I think he still had to duck, right?
We
But
accept short people too.
I'm just saying it was just so great that
is beautiful.
He would run through all of the bodies of the people in his affiliates, and just it was so great. I thought it was other affiliates should do that, the love tunnel for their athletes.
Yeah, and families, man. To your point, our lizard brain is the oldest part in our brain, and that part is soothed. That's our fight or flight, and that part is soothed and comforted with physical touch. Oh. So I think if we go there during conflict and hard times first, we're able to hear each other so much faster.
Oh, I was just talking with Josh Bridges about that. He was on the show the other day, and I love shaking hands with people. The fist bump is just really bums me. I mean, there's a place for it. Like if you're running by someone, but like if I met you in person, I'd want to hug you or shake your hand.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's so much better. You have a son?
I do. Yeah. I've got a son and a daughter. Son is 2.5. Daughter is 6 months. And yeah, one thing I want to mention,
please,
about starting young. I was in the car with my son maybe 3 months ago, and I was driving and I was trying to send someone a voice note, and I would speak for maybe 10 seconds, make a little mistake or stutter, and then I would delete it and I would just do it again and again and again. And after 3 or 4 times, he said, "Bubba," he calls me Bubba. "Bubba, what are you doing?" And I didn't answer him. I didn't answer him. And then I do it again. "Bubba, what are you doing?" And then I do it one more time, and he screams at me, "Bubba, what are you doing?" And I had this moment where I thought to myself, okay, he's not going to understand why I'm doing this, but there's never going to be a moment where it's clear that he does understand this kind of thing. And so I'm going to start the practice of just being real with him right now. And I turned to him and I was like, "Buddy, sometimes Bubba gets a little nervous and he wants to sound perfect to people. And I'm just deleting this thing over and over, trying to sound better to my friend that I'm sending this voice note to." And then that was it. And my belief is that by starting to practice now, when he can actually understand, and maybe the stakes feel higher because I might be more embarrassed to tell him, I'm already developing the muscle of doing this.
Right. You know what's interesting? Oh, that's a great photo. Is that a girl, by the way, the one on the ground?
Yep.
Dude, you are going to be blown away when she surpasses his talking abilities at 2. I remember when Avi was 4, and we would meet 2-year-old girls, and they would start talking circles around them.
I didn't know you had a little girl.
I don't. We would just meet other girls. I thought my boys were the smartest fucking kids in the world until you meet a girl.
Nice.
Yeah. There's this 5-year-old girl that they play tennis with, and my son's 8, and he's smart. He got a big Jew brain. And this 5-year-old
you're
girl,
Jewish too.
I'm not. My wife is.
Oh, okay. I got a couple Jews too.
Yeah, right. Jewish. Right. You married Jewish. Yeah. And the girls are just nuts, dude. It's not even, when you're a kid, they're like, yeah, girls develop faster. It's not even that they develop faster. They develop. Boys are like rocks. I mean, they are like, we're such cavemen.
Yes.
But when you see a young girl around a boy, you start to really realize it. Trish, excellent interview. Top 10. Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Cazayoux.
Oh, thank you, Trish.
Heidi Kroom. Anyone else? $9.99. I felt the tear ducts turn on for a second. I quickly turned them off. Jessica T. Great talk. Well, thank you.
What's all this money?
Don't worry about that. That has nothing to do with you. Clydesdale Media, amazing story. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Cazayoux.
So funny.
Oh, how the internet has changed since the year you've left the podcast space. How dare you abandon your listeners because you lost interest, Mr. Cazayoux. Robert Myers, $5. Robert, wow. Robbie, I haven't, all of a sudden I'm seeing you around more with your flat bill. Nice to see you, Mr. KC. Can you see the comments? I mean, not the ones that I put up on the screen, but the ones that are in the live. No. Yeah. So basically we're live and there's 167 people watching and it's there's a morning. I do this show every morning at 7 a.m. So there's a really active crew in here of just people.
So cool, man.
Yeah. So a lot of times, look at this guy, Barry My Cockiner. Great convo as always. It took me 6 months to realize this guy's name was fake. And then there's you can do this whole conversation with this crew.
That's so good.
And then this is also the crew that sends me DMs on my Instagram. And so they send me stories that they might want to talk about or see. And so then I curate them and then we do these live call-in shows and I just bring stuff up and it's cool. That's great, man. I can't believe it's we call it kind of like, do you remember Tosh?
Yes.
It's kind of like a low rent, the poor man's Tosh.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Every day at 7. That's a commitment, man. Good for you.
Yeah. I'm addicted.
What are you addicted to? The likes?
No, not the like. I don't think we'd actually get very many likes, and we're I think we're like banned. The process because I've been doing the show for 2 years, and I'm getting better. I'm finding myself. I'm finding my voice. The show's getting better. Like yesterday, a guy called at me, a friend of mine, and he has a son, and his son's 18 years old. And I heard his son say something, dude, you're the funniest guy I've ever heard, Sevan. I guess you are likes. And that rocked me. Cause like, that's all I ever want to be is funny. Right.
That's awesome, man.
And it was like, holy fucking 18-year-old thinks I'm funny. And I work on it. So like during the day, I'm rehearsing like skits or funny things I want to say, or I reflect on maybe that was inappropriate what I did there. How can I make it better? So I'm just addicted to the process. And maybe it is the likes. Maybe I'm fooling myself, but there's just crazy instant feedback. Last night when I went to bed, I was like, man, Haley, I'm starting to like really like these people I hang out with every morning. It's weird because I don't even know them. Look at this person, Jenna Tolles. You get it?
Yes, I do.
No, I don't want to meet any. That's the thing. I don't want to meet any of these people. Manny Serrano. I did actually have a drink with Manny in Newport once. Nice. Sevan's the real CEO of CrossFit. David Weed. See, and then there's assholes. You're not funny. I am funny. I am. I'm starting to realize.
That's really great to hear that it feels like you're maybe stepping further into your life's purpose, if you will. Like you're in your calling. And I don't think of a calling as like a single thing. I think of it kind of like a peeling back of the onion, and you're obviously following your heart and you're good at it. And you just feel, it seems like you're on your path and you know it. And then there's also this really awesome thing about the internet where you can get feedback for it really quickly, which feels good, but in terms of development, it's pure gold for any sort of knowledge work like this. Having this tight of a feedback loop it helps us grow so much faster.
Oh, I like the way you said that. Yeah. Feedback loop. Yeah. And when I started, there would only be like 40 listeners. And like last night we did a show and the live show had like 1,000 listeners live when we went last night. Man. Yeah. And I wouldn't say I was embarrassed that there were 40, and I still don't think 1,000 is a lot, but after doing it for 2 years, I'm so grateful for every single person who listens. Like, I know that sounds cheesy because I feel like we I built this relationship with those people and they built this relationship with me. Like we earned each other.
That's
So
great.
so it's kind of a trip. Philip Kelly, I love meeting you in person, Sevi. Thank you. I love meeting you too. Much more handsome and buff than I imagined. I disagree with 30% of everything Sevan says. Come on, 50%, 50%. Why does someone go to shooting up? What was did you see someone else do it first and you were up for the adventure, or?
Well, I think I had always put shooting up in a category that was like, that means you're fucked up. And I'm never going to go there. And then I read Scar Tissue and he's just talking about shooting up. And although the last half of the book is him recovering, it feels like a lot of the stories were sort of glorified almost. And it sounded amazing. It sounded like the most euphoric feeling a human being could possibly have. And so that seed was planted by literally reading that book. And then one of my close friends started shooting up, and I told him at some point, hey, I want to do this.
It's funny because when I was thinking about maybe not asking you, because I used to watch the show Mad Men on TV. I don't know if you know the show, but the guy's always smoking and drinking. And whenever I would watch the show, I'd want to smoke and drink.
Right. You don't want to trigger me.
Or anyone out in the out. I didn't even think of you. Sorry. But I was thinking about other people. Man, drugs are crazy, right? Because there's only two endings, right? You either die or you quit. And they both aren't fun. Neither of them are fun. Not
necessarily.
Right?
The third one is you live a long, miserable life.
Really? That happens?
Yeah. You're getting sober and relapsing, getting sober and relapsing, or you become homeless and live like a shell of an existence for a very long time. And maybe you have a shorter life, but
and you eventually you can, especially with methamphetamines, you can do so much damage that you can never come back.
I don't know. That sounds right.
And by come back, I mean, I don't mean that you don't quit, but you'll be different. You will have, it's like our friend. You have those. I'm sure you have those friends who did so much acid, and they're just like, oh no, something happened. You're not coming back. Like part of you got stuck in another world.
Yeah. Especially in formative years.
I so don't want that to happen to my kids.
Yeah. What do you think your orientation will be around them experimenting with drugs? Is it like, hell no, you can't do any of this, or
hell no. I will protect them and keep them sheltered for as long as fucking humanly possible.
Yeah.
I won't ever buy them a cell phone. They won't be allowed to do any of that shit. They won't. I'll hope the first time that they put their penis in a vagina that they've never seen porn.
And
I mean, I don't know if I'll succeed, but I don't want them to see 400 pieces of porn before the first time they're with a girl. I want them to be like, I want them to have the same experience I had. Like, holy shit, I think I just touched someone's bra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I fucking touched a bra.
Well, look, I had watched a lot of porn by the time I saw a bra, and I still felt that way.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. I wonder, do you have any concern about them either feeling like you're controlling them? Yeah. I guess it's all like, do you feel like they'll rebel against a perceived control?
I justified that as we all are going to rebel against our parents at some point. And I just want them to have all the fucking tools humanly possible to succeed before they give me the fuck you. I expect the fuck you, right? At some point, they're going to fucking give me the double middle finger and do something crazy. Get into fucking those squirrel jumpsuits or some shit, or like apply to go to Mars.
No, God, one way that they would get
I
back
hope they don't do that either, dude. I do not want my kids being astronauts or going to space. Fuck that.
I mean, your kids are so active. One way that they could get back at you that I feel like might really get under your skin is just really devote themselves to becoming couch potatoes.
Yeah.
Playing video games all day, eating complete shit, and doing nothing with their life.
They would have to, it's going to be so hard for them to get out of my clutch. until they're 18, until they can put the bat, although they're going to be able to beat me up by the time they're 12.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I will do when they're old enough to even consider experimenting with things. But there's a part of me that wonders if there's a benefit to them, like being able to do it and feel comfortable enough sharing it with me so that I can.
Yes,
that too.
That's the tricky part. I want them to be able to share it with me too. If they do, like they've already shared some shit with me. I'm like, holy fuck, how did you do that? Like I have my eyes on you at all times. I can't even believe you did that.
Yeah.
Like they've told me some shit.
That's cool. That's great that you've created that safety. Yeah. I think one of the ways that I will create safety is just being really transparent about my stories without glorifying them. And, without trying to make my son think I'm cool, related to like the women I slept with or the crazy stories I have. Share the stories and the consequences of those stories and sort of what I learned from them. That's sort of my best plan right now.
Along those lines, I see parents give their kids too much information. And they project their own, I'm going to try to think of an example. They project their own. So I'll give you an example. So I was raised that abortion was okay, that pro-choice, right? But I was never talked to about abortion. And so I was given this picture that like, hey, it's women's rights, it's a women's health issue. I was couched it without ever explaining to me like, hey, arguments can be couched to manipulate you and you need to see both sides and you need to ask questions. Like my parents gave me their ideology, their liberal ideology around abortion. When that's it, and they closed me off. When they did that, they sealed me into a bag by giving me that.
Yeah.
And I want to be very careful not to do that to my kids, except in places that that it's at all expense. It's to protect them from life or death issues. And so I'm a little careful. Like like my kids will ask, I'm trying to think. So my kids are very interested of how they got into mom's stomach, but I'm not going to tell them until they can ask the questions to get the information they need.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that. That's great.
Like how did we get in there? What do you mean? How'd you get in there? Where were we before? I don't know. I don't know where you were before. Well, what happens when you die? I don't know. There's a couple of prevailing theories, and maybe I'll tell them a couple. I'm like, the one says that like you go this one book over here, but then I'm like, and there might be other shit too. I always tell them like, I don't know. You're going to have to. And then I always like, and if you do want to know, you can go down this path of like sitting still every day for an hour and just focus on your breath. And supposedly that you could get the answer that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to seal them off, I don't want to seal them off, I guess, from, because that's what happened to me. I got sealed off, but some things I feel like you should seal off.
The ones that you feel really certain about.
Well, or just want, like, you need a strong grounding in who you are. So I don't they don't get to choose whether they're a boy or a girl. Like they don't get to choose whether they're black or Hispanic or Asian. Look, your fucking dad's Armenian, your mom's a Jew, you have a cock, you're a dude. You go to jiu-jitsu 5 days a week. Your name is Adee. I mean, on some level, some of these things might not be true, but I'm going to pound those into them and seal those off. And if they really want to go deep when they're older, they can. I mean, don't you wish, Michael, like in hindsight, don't you wish you would have never done any, like, aren't you curious what you'd be like if you would have never done any of those drugs? Like, I wish,
yeah,
I don't want to say I regret it, but part of me like really wishes I would have, and I don't fixate on it, but I wish I never had smoked a cigarette. I wish I'd never taken it. I've smoked so much fucking weed. And I just think, what did I do to my lungs? I just think of the physical damage I might have done. Like just every morning packing a gram in and trying to suck down the whole thing with a fucking butane lighter, the crack torch.
Yep.
And if I fail, dump it out and pack another gram and try again. It's like, what the fuck did I do to my lungs? Doesn't a part of you wish like, and that's why I'm like, I don't want my kids to do that, because in hindsight, it's not that I regret it. It's that I can't get those lungs back.
I would say a part of me wonders what that would have been like, but I really value my depth. And I don't think I would have cultivated the depth without the pain that I went through.
For sure.
You know, I feel like it helps me appreciate my life so much more than some people that haven't gone through some of the trials that I've gone through. Like, yeah, I think they tend to take things for granted a little more.
Yeah.
It helps me connect with a broader range of people. Yeah, I have a bunch of reasons why I value it, but I definitely wonder what it would be like.
Do you have a rock bottom moment?
I would say that the first time I shot up was somewhat of a rock bottom moment. That was the first. So I've had a lot of friends die, and this was the first friend of mine that died of a drug overdose. His name was Tyler. He was 16, and he took Oxycontin and Xanax, and he went to sleep next to one of my other best friends, and he never woke up. And I was traveling when he had his funeral, but then he had a memorial. And instead of going to his memorial, I chose to shoot up for the first time. And
wow. This is in Louisiana?
In Louisiana. Yeah. And
where were you? Where were you when you shot up? In someone's house?
I think in the back of my mom's Suburban.
Wow.
Like I was just driving her Suburban for whatever reason. And I just remember feeling like a fucking piece of shit.
You didn't even get to enjoy it. You weren't like, yeah, this is I'm high as
Mixed feelings.
Man. And how many times do you think you shot up?
Maybe 100.
So you don't have a rock bottom moment. What about that moment when you were talking to your mom and in the rehab center?
That was definitely a painful experience. But I felt when I made the decision to stay, I suddenly felt more connected to my family and in rapport with them.
Let me ask the question differently than rock bottom. You ever had a moment where you're ready to give up and die, where you kind of you turn to the heavens and you say, I'm done, take me?
Yeah, I had several moments where not several moments. I had a period of time, maybe 3 to 6 months, where I contemplated suicide. And one day I put my dad's pistol in my mouth. And I don't think I was actually that close to pulling the trigger, but I had been thinking about it a lot, and I wanted to see what that felt like.
Right. Test run.
And yeah, in that period of time, I was just feeling so depressed. And I was probably being grounded a ton, like my entire high school career. And yeah, I had a lot of moments where I imagined it would just be easier if I wasn't alive anymore.
Did you ever, are you a religious guy? Was your family religious?
I grew up Catholic and never liked it. And so as soon as I had the opportunity, I rebelled against that. I guess I always rebelled, but I called myself an atheist as soon as I left Louisiana. And I've had quite a journey in terms of spirituality and religion. But yeah, I grew up with that and rebelled, and then now I have a lot of appreciation for it. I don't identify as religious, but a ton of appreciation for it.
This Eric says, how do you think your parents could have loved better to support you in a way to not have made those decisions? Do you think your parents could have done anything?
I definitely don't know the answer to that, but what comes up for me that may have been helpful is, the thing is, they couldn't have possibly done anything differently because they didn't have the tools. But if they had a better understanding of their own emotions and were able to express their emotions to me clearly without making me wrong for their emotions, I think that could have helped. So specifically, what I felt from them was anger and disappointment. That's all I thought they were feeling. So there was one experience where it was the first time I failed a drug test for everything. This was a really, big step down in my life and in my perception with my parents. And I remember my dad looking at the panel and screaming, and I was in another room screaming for me to come in the room. And he was fuming, and he said something like, "Are you fucking crazy? You're throwing your life away, blah, 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 blah." And I think my mom was maybe doing a little bit of the same and probably a little quieter. And my perception was that, oh, they're so angry with me. And yeah, they're so angry with me. Now that I have the understanding of emotions that I have, what I understand is that they were afraid. They were afraid that their son was going to kill himself or kill someone else. And if I could have felt their fear,
right,
if they would have come to me without the explosive energy and said, something like, Michael, you're your own person, and I just want you to know what's going on for me. And I'm just terrified that you're going to die and you're going to throw your whole life away. And if I could have seen them cry from that standpoint, I think that would have invoked my natural empathetic response. I would have felt.
So they saw that, they felt something, and then what you witnessed was not what they felt, but their reaction to what they felt. This is a very, very common problem with human communication. And most people don't even know they're doing it. I mean, that you're actually responding to your analysis rather than to what they actually said. It's called being trapped in your head or reading into something, or it's crazy. It's crazy. Or it's called the week before your wife's period. Sorry, couldn't resist. How old are you?
Right now, 32.
Yeah. Did you ever relapse after that 18-year-old adventure?
I did, yeah. 6 months later, after rehab, I had a really bad relapse, and it only lasted a week. And then, that was like 15 years ago, 14 years ago.
Are you in the clear?
What do you mean by that? Like, do I have cravings and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally in the clear. And so
what is that dangerous to even say that? Can you say that?
Some people would say it's dangerous to say it, but here, I'll tell my story. I was completely sober for 5 years. I went to an AA meeting every single day for months and months. I saw therapists. I did more group therapy. I sponsored dozens of other alcoholics and addicts. And about 5 years in, I started to have this thought that I no longer identified with the first step of the Alcoholics Anonymous program, which is that I am powerless over drugs and alcohol.
Oh.
I felt like I had dealt with the underlying issues, and that didn't feel true for me anymore. And I ended up a guy, I've been thinking about this for maybe 6 months, and a friend came over to my house, and he put a big bag of weed on the table, and then he went and took a shower. And I looked at it, and I'd been thinking about it for 6 months. And so I just went swipe, took a little nug. And then that night I rolled myself a joint, got high, felt great. But then I just kind of sat and waited for the next week or two, thinking, oh my God, am I going to relapse? Am I going to start craving shooting up? And that never happened. And slowly I started to reintroduce certain things, some recreationally, and then some for like healing purposes, sacred purposes. And a lot of people ask me how I'm able to do this without my life becoming unmanageable again. And I think it's partly that I did a lot of my shit when I was a kid. And so I didn't have as many years sort of rewiring my brain in a negative way. So my drug use years were way shorter than a lot. And when I relapsed, I got that the reason people relapse is because they stop following the 12th step, which is we practice these principles in all our affairs. So they'll go through the steps and they'll live cleanly for 6 months, a year, 5 years, but then they kind of rest on their laurels and they become complacent. They stop growing. They stop having like emotional, spiritual hygiene, and then their life falls apart again. So some of these steps, it's like, take a moral inventory. Who are you resentful for? And what is your part in those resentments? It's make amends. It's serve others. Just things that every human would be better served by doing, and that many healthy people just sort of naturally do. And so what I got is that I needed to keep practicing these. I don't necessarily need to keep reading the big book or go to meetings, but this needs to be front and center in my life. And
these 12 steps.
And just, essentially taking care of my mental health, my physical health, and my relationships.
Did your parents, so let's say today, like, would you have a beer today?
I would, yeah.
Does that scare the shit out of your parents or your wife?
So sober for 5 years, and then I was not sober for another year before I told my family. And initially they were, I would say, slightly concerned to moderately concerned, because there are just not many stories of people learning how to do these things safely again.
Right.
And at the same time, they had a lot of trust in me, and they saw the type of person that I was, and they saw how clean my relationships were, and just the way that I was living my life. And they also got that them trying to control me back into sobriety wasn't going to work. They got that, this showing me through the way they spoke to me, that they trusted me was the best way to get me to kind of, I don't know about behave, but live in the best way I could. If they had tried to control me, there may have been a part of me that rebelled and ended up like wanting to use harder things in spite of them.
And I'm guessing you don't fuck with any pills anymore.
Never.
No. Man, I mean, I don't have any personal experience, but obviously I have a lot of friends who've been through, wild journeys, and I don't know anyone who does that, what you're doing, who's able to, I guess, re-assimilate. So when you say medicinal stuff, you mean like ayahuasca and stuff like that,
and psilocybin and things like that. And those have been, I would, one of the most impactful parts of my spiritual journey, without a doubt.
Can you tell me about that? Why is that?
So the way that I describe plant medicines is they put things in front of me in my consciousness that are like defects of character, ways that I'm out of integrity with myself, things that I could access sober through meditation, reflection, having, great people give me feedback in my life, but they do it much faster and with greater intensity. So for instance, this is a good one. For a couple years, I was noticing this voice in my head when I would be talking to some people, and the voice would say, "I'm better than you." And immediately I was like, "Oh fuck, that's a gross ass thought."
Right.
And I would be like, metaphorically, or I would imagine myself aggressively pushing that thought away, but it just kept coming up over and over. And sometimes there was more. It was like, "I'm better than you because," and I became really ashamed of that thought. And then in an ayahuasca journey, that came to me. And what plant medicines do sometimes is they amplify what's going on inside of you times 1,000. And so it was amplified times 1,000. And I made it into this much bigger deal than it actually was. And what it was like for me in that experience was I told myself, if I think I'm better than others, I'm a complete fraud. My wife is going to leave me. All of my friends will disown me. And my whole life is about to change. I thought that was the truth. So much so that I almost ran out of the room. The shaman then closes the night, and everyone's medicine is sort of wearing off, and I ended up pulling a guy over to the side and asking if I could share something with him. And I told him everything I just told you, and he just starts laughing at me, and he says, "Me too, brother. Me too." And what I hear from you is that you're a man whose brain has evolved for thousands and thousands and millions of years to compete for status. You're a human being, you're a male competing for status. And as soon as he said that, man, just this enormous wave of relief came over me. And what I got from that experience is that there was a part of me that was and always had been trying to compete for acceptance and for, jockeying who's better than who. And when I would be in conversation after that, what I learned to do is when that voice would come up, I would imagine myself embracing that side of me, almost like it was like the little boy version of me. And I would say, thank you for everything you've done for me. You helped me win the CrossFit games, and you've helped me succeed in business. This competitive,
God, I love this.
competitiveness.
God, I fucking love this. Yeah.
And thank you. And I'm talking to Sevan right now. And so rather than beating the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
So you think you're better than me?
So much, dude. So much.
Dude, you accept it. You're not going to fight that guy. You're going to accept that guy. I accept you.
Exactly right.
Dude, it's always, God, I don't know how you tied that in. God, that's fucking brilliant, Michael. It always ends up being acceptance. It always ends up being acceptance. There's this thing, I love this thing that Eckhart Tolle says, and if you can't accept it, accept the fact that you can't accept it. And if you can't accept, you can't accept it. Accept the fact that you can't accept it. I'm just like, oh my God, I fucking get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your thoughts are not you, but you are responsible for them.
Mm-hmm.
What's amazing is that in your I don't know what you call it, your mundane life, your regular life, that you actually have cultivated enough awareness, and maybe that's the gift through all your hardship, to actually see your thoughts. Some people aren't even in that realm yet. They don't even know what we're talking about because they haven't actually even seen one thought to know that what we're talking about. And then, on that faster level, going back to your parents probably didn't even see that emotion. They probably didn't even see the fear emotion. They just reacted to it and then gave it to you. And like, seeing emotions is even crazier, right? I mean, now you've cultivated a shitload of awareness to watch where emotions come from.
Yeah. Yeah. And meditation is very popular now, but I think, I don't know if 10% of people really understand the purpose of meditation. The purpose is not so that you can just have a relaxing 10 minutes or 20 minutes and then go about your day with more calm. That's a bonus. The point is so that in the rest of your life, the rest of the 23 hours and 40 minutes, you start to become more aware of your thoughts and the sensations going on in your body. That's all it is. And then once you can see it, have a little more influence over it. Let it go. Accept it.
Along those lines, you should always be meditating, but there's these moments that you should use in your life, ideally when things are good, to cultivate the practice.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, I would. One time I was sitting in an airport. I think I was in India, or I can't remember where I was, and I was just sitting there quietly, consciously, like setting away meditation time. I like to think of myself as I'm always in meditation, except for those moments when I've lost consciousness in my sleep. But and someone said to me, "How could you meditate in here? It's so noisy." Like, are you kidding me? This is the fucking easiest place to fucking meditate. And those types of things reveal to me, oh yeah, you're right. Most people don't even know what meditation is. That it's just this cultivation, right? It's a time that you set aside purposely to cultivate more awareness. Who do you think you stumbled? Do you have something that like impacted you the most, like a book or a person? Someone who pointed
and sort of on my personal growth path, or what?
Yeah, or just someone who gave you. Do you know who gave you? Like, my wife has given me a lot of tools for looking inward, like shitloads. And if it wasn't for her, I had the capacity and the power to do it and the focus. I just didn't know how to do it. It's so you know what I mean? I never even thought of looking inward. Like, what do you mean look inward? Like open my mouth and look in the mirror?
Right.
Bend over and spread my butt cheeks. What do you mean look inward? I mean, that's how I was. Like I'm saying, I was a rock. Did someone help you or point you in the direction or give you the tools?
More than I can count. The first one I'll mention, it was a therapist named Jason that I had at that 9-month spot. And he was this big dude. I think he had played college football, just like a fucking man's man. And he told me very early on, he said, a real man is someone that can be fully himself no matter where he is. And an aspect of that was he is able to express his emotions without being, insecure about what everyone else in the room is thinking. And he showed me how to do that. And he supported me in discovering how to do that for myself. And so having this guy that was like just a badass, like, he would go on these like 2-week long elk hunting trips by himself on public land, just a really badass man's man. But then he was so expressive emotionally and such a great space holder. It gave me I wanted to make him proud of me. And two, it just gave me an example, a model of who I could become, of the type of guy I could become. I didn't have to be an effeminate, creative type if I was going to be expressing my emotions. I could be a more traditional version of a man and also express my emotions. Not that I consider myself a creative type now, but at the time I didn't think that was cool.
Tell me about this term you used, space holder.
Yeah, so maybe this is like spiritual jargon I'm using now, but what I mean by that is the ability to be in a room with one or more people and stay grounded while others are expressing themselves. And so if someone is expressing something really big, they have really big emotions, what is healing for that person is for what I'll say this, what is not helpful is for me or for Jason rather to react and add his own bullshit and projections to your big emotions. He was able to have these kids, and me included, going through all of our pain and screaming at him sometimes. And, one kid had lost his dad to suicide, and he was just able to breathe through it. And so he's creating this sort of container for us to just completely fall apart in with safety. So he's holding like a safe space. Am I making sense?
Bro, it is the most underexpressed term and most needed on planet Earth. space holders. These people are fucking amazing. Is he the first space holder you ever met?
No, but the first one that I was ready to listen to. I started going to AA meetings when I was 15, and I was around a lot of really caring people that, yeah, they had, they were great space holders, but I was not ready. I would go into these meetings and intentionally imagine myself closing my ears because I didn't want to change. I so badly didn't want to change.
Did you have any home births?
I did. Yeah. We intended to do it with our first, but he came a little early, but then our second one, she was born at home. Yeah.
And were your midwives, were they incredible space holders?
Incredible. Yes. That's a great example.
Those ladies are unfucking believable what they do. If you find a good midwife who can hold space for your wife when she has the baby, you will freak out. Part of you will be like, hey bitch, aren't you going to do something? They do absolutely no thing. We had 2 midwives. They did absolutely, it's not that they're doing nothing. They did no thing. They sat there and let my wife have the fucking baby. And it was, I couldn't even believe what I was witnessing. It was this space holding idea. One of the most beautiful and powerful experiences. I didn't get to have my son at home, so this was extra special. That's her prior to the birth.
Yep.
There's this when someone's telling you a story, once you start experiencing being around space holders and you start holding space for other people, what you do is someone might tell you a story. I'll give you an example. This might not be a great one, but someone might tell you a story, and the appropriate thing to be might be like, someone be like, yeah, my dad died, and they tell you the story. And someone who's not holding the space might be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. And that person did really what intense at your funeral? That's so unthoughtful of them. Oh my God, that's borderline racist. They did what to you? These people, what they are doing is a pseudo compassion. They're almost like feeding this it's the opposite of holding the space. Person who holds the space sort of lets your story see if it has merit on its own and if it can live on its own. And if it can't, it will go away, and you're almost healed in their presence. And so yeah. And a woman who's having a baby starts spinning a lot of shit. They're going through some shit.
Yes.
And the last thing you need is someone fucking reacting to it.
What's going on in your example is that woman is unregulated. And so she's trying to overcome her own instability internally by rescuing you and by adding her own shit. A space holder, they're feeling the same things, but they have the tools to regulate themselves and just keep listening.
Yeah, it's incredible. I knew the idea of space holding. I experienced it with my wife, but when we had Avi and I saw those midwives do that kind of like changed the whole. That they set the bar at a different level for me. I was like, holy shit, this is like, I didn't even know they almost weren't human anymore for a couple hours.
That's such a good example, man.
Yeah, that's good midwives. Yeah, crazy. And what's crazy is one of the midwives, like I could tell ahead of time, was going to have that ability, and one of them was just a complete like neurotic woman. Like she was like the doctor type, like, and the other one was like the hippy dippy, and the other one was like the medical one. But when it fucking came to birth time, they both just fucking
nice.
Yeah, they just disappeared. They just vanished. I was like, yo, I really thought that, like, yo, bitches, do something. But like there was nothing to do. Like, that's
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best things that ours told Adee in the first one, way before she had our son, she said, you only have one responsibility, and that's to be pregnant. You don't have to eat any sort of way or do any sort of thing. You just got to be pregnant.
How did you meet your wife?
Remember, through Barbell Shrugged business thing.
Right. And can you give me more details? You what the event was, and you walk into the place and you see her, and
Yeah. So both of us had significant others. She had a very serious boyfriend at the time who she thought she was going to marry. And I had a girlfriend of like a week. And we walk into this, it's like they had rented out a big mansion for 30 of us that were paying to be there. And it's all business owners trying to help each other grow their businesses, just to give tips and advice and poke holes in the plans and things like that. And we were the youngest by 5 or 10 years. And we were just like immediately physically attracted to each other. And we ended up just spending a lot of time chatting, and we were obviously into each other. And then at some point,
she has an accent. She has a funny Israeli accent.
No, not Israeli, Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at some point, I asked her if she had a boyfriend. And really, what had happened is I stalked her on Instagram immediately, and I found that there was a guy in her pictures, but he hadn't been in a picture in a month or so. So I said, okay, she probably broke up with him. I talked myself into that. At some point I asked her, and she said, yes, I have a boyfriend. And so we didn't like, I think we continued talking, but we didn't hook up or anything. And then maybe a few weeks later, she broke up with him, and we got together.
Was she in a different city?
She was traveling through the States, and yeah, she was just traveling all around, and she was in the middle of a road trip with her then boyfriend, and they broke up, and we got together. And
does she contact you? Is it like they break up and like she immediately texts you?
We were talking every day.
Oh shit.
Under the guise of me coaching her, we had talked ourselves into this being okay because I was coaching her.
Right.
I was helping her with her muscle ups, and she was on the grid league. And
why were you attracted to her? Oh, she was that good. So she was good. She was
good.
Yeah.
So, okay. Physically, I just thought she was absolutely stunning. But I had been with beautiful women before. What set her apart just so much was our relationship coach, Annie, who we talked about in the beginning. She says, you don't fall in love with your partner as much as you fall in love with who you get to be in their presence.
Yeah.
And immediately when I met her, I felt like the best version of myself. She just picked up on different things about me that she loved, and she started to treat me as if I were that person. So things like, I can be radically honest. I can be humorous. I can be, like witty. I can be thoughtful and curious. But up to that point, I was not those things very consistently. But she saw all of those in me, and she treated me like that's just who I was. And immediately I felt like I just wanted to be a better person when I was around her. And I liked that version of myself. I loved that version of myself. And it occurred to me, I don't know about immediately. Maybe it was like after we started really dating, it occurred to me that it seems inevitable that I reach my highest potential as a human being if I'm with her. And that above all else was
because you can let Michael express himself. I get that part, right? I mean, you feel free in her presence. Does she believe in you?
She really fucking believes in me. Yeah, more than I believe myself, for sure. So another metaphor.
Have you ever? And then before you say this, you can say that, and then I want you to tell me if you've ever was someone who didn't believe in you. But go ahead, tell me this metaphor, and I won't forget that question.
Okay, cool. So another metaphor is that our partners are sacred mirrors for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in some ways they show us our greatness, like all of our beauty, our magnificence, and in some ways they show us our shadows, like the parts of ourselves that are hidden from us. And she saw both, and she praises. She's the best praise and affirmation giver I've ever met, and she's also the most courageous in showing me my shortcomings, where she knows I'm capable of being, but where my behavior is, and showing me that. And sometimes that's in the form of bitching and complaining. And sometimes it's in the form of really tactful, precise feedback. And she's always been that for me. And, you know, at the time of meeting her, I had done a lot of my own work. So I received that with a lot of gratitude, and I saw it for what it was, which was gold.
You point out something that's really good there. I've had friends who are like, been with women who are like, hey, I don't like the job you have, or you need to make more money, or shit like that. My wife's never done that to me. When my wife gives me advice, and I think I'm wondering if this is like along what you're saying, she holds me to a higher standard. So she'll hear me on the phone with you, and I'll be like, okay, Michael, my kids are, it's time to put my kids to bed. I got to go. And my wife will hear me do that 10 nights in a row. And then she'll be like, hey, see what? She's like, don't lie. Don't lie. It's not okay. It's not who you are. Hold yourself, set yourself free. It's not good for you. It's not even like a moral thing or a value thing. It's not good for you, Sevan. Set yourself free. You don't need to do that. I mean, she says it better than that. She doesn't talk down to me like that. I'm saying it like, I mean,
I totally get it. I'm
like, oh yeah, thanks. Got it. It's like, hey, watch out. Don't hit that person in the road. That's what she's saying. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's so like, she just gives me things that like I can do that instantaneously make me a fucking better person. I'm free. Holy shit. Thank you. Mike, I'm done talking to you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't got to make a reason. I don't got to lie. I don't ever have to lie. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's the deal? Can I piss, or should I just pee?
No, pee away. Yeah.
Right,
always pee. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Pee away. Dude, I'm fucking, this is two interviews in a row that I've outlasted the fucking person peeing.
It's a new record.
A fucking beast.
You've been training your bladder or something?
I'm on another level. I was supposed to go out to breakfast with Greg at 8:30. I've really fucking shit the pooch. I better text him.
Ooh, Greg's gonna be mad. Or you just duped yourself out of a free breakfast. I'd be more disappointed about not having a free breakfast, honestly.
Greg called me this morning, and I have this fucking automatic response that says what you need. What you need.
Come on.
Yeah. And I sent it to him like a fucking idiot. I'm just seeing that. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. You don't say that to Greg. I said, and so I just retext him. That wasn't for you. Ha ha ha. Shit. That was an automated response.
What you need.
Yeah, just like me being funny. Like I think I'm like it. Doing like I'm in Boys in the Hood or something. Like I'm pretending to be like ghetto.
Unbelievable.
Michael, I have this. I have this. I have like automated responses on my phone when people call me.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to have breakfast with Greg Glassman at 8:30, and it's 9:05. And he called me. He called me at 8:42. And I picked up my phone, and I meant to type podcast, and I realized I sent him one of my auto responses is what you need.
What nice.
What you need. And it's like that's not really what I want to send to
how formal.
That's not what I really want to send to Greg, who's waiting for me to go to breakfast. My goodness.
That's hilarious.
Okay, where were we? By the way, I'm usually I'm the one who always has to take a pee break. This is incredible. This is 2 days in a row where the guests had to take a pee break. What you're
glorious.
It's 11 a.m. for you right now?
Yep.
It's great. It's great that would you have an example of things that maybe she coaches you on, like character traits or things that she holds you to a higher standard? Feedback she gives you? Like, it would stress me out if my wife said, "Hey, I want you to make more money." I would hate that.
This is a great, this is a great example.
I would fucking hate that. That would be a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. So one thing that one point of tension.
Or if she ever made me feel inadequate in any way, it would be a deal breaker for me. I would fucking run for the hills.
One point of tension recently is that I am now the sole breadwinner for the first time in our relationship. And, I started this business, Soul Searching Adventures, a couple years ago, right before we sold WAG. And the truth is that it's not making nearly enough money to cover our expenses. Now, right. we have money invested, and I think we've been, relatively wise with our money, and that can't go on forever.
That's like my podcast. Oh, me and you are living parallel lives.
Yeah. So
I'm making the money, but I got an ass job. I have a podcast. It's so embarrassing when she tells people, and she's so proud, but she'll be like, "Oh, what does Sevan do?" She's like, "She has a podcast." It's like, oh, fuck. Him too? Anyway, sorry. Okay, go on. Soul Searching Adventures.
Yeah.
Soul breadwinner.
And
oh, your husband takes people on Soul Searching Adventures. How sweet.
So the tension was that I have felt like I have found my calling in life. I feel like I was either born to do this work, or just like all of my experience, due to all of my life experience, this is the type of work that I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And I've not wanted to taint it by focusing on how much money it makes.
Tie it back to that other thing. You're holding space for other men.
I'm holding space for other men. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And Adee, she loves the work I do. She's been my biggest champion. And at the same time, she wants me to be working on covering our lifestyle expenses. We spend more than some, and less than others.
If this soul searching thing doesn't make you see the end of the runway coming, something's going to have to give. You're either going to have to make more money with soul searching, or you're going to have to sell something and maybe burn some of your retirement equity. Correct. Right? Yeah. Correct. I'm in the exact same position. Yeah. What's going to, and you're like watching, oh shit, is this going to make more money, or am I going to run out of runway and fall off the edge?
Yeah. And so the story that I created in my head was that she was expecting me, if I couldn't close that gap, that she was expecting me to stop doing what I'm doing and do something soul sucking just to make more money.
Which would be what? Get a job back at LSU training the football team.
Yeah. Or start an online company selling a product or something like that.
Okay.
And when it comes down to it, what she's asking me for is to make it important to me to provide for our family. And she could sense that because I wasn't caring how much money soul searching made, that it really didn't matter to me that much. And I wasn't working as hard as I could if I was making it a priority. And we had this conversation maybe only three weeks ago, and she's telling me how she felt, and I'm sort of catastrophizing, and I'm not like overly emotional, but I'm really down in the conversation. I feel like, I feel confused. I felt confused. And we ended that conversation, or one thing I'll mention is that she was just holding space. She was stating how she was feeling without trying to make me wrong for my feelings and not making it into a bigger deal. She was an excellent space holder that night. But we ended that conversation with it being unresolved. And I woke up the next morning with a lot more clarity about what I was feeling. And what I was feeling is not so much financial fear, but a fear of failure. What if I give this everything I've got, this thing that I care deeply about, and it's still not enough?
Mm-hmm.
What will people think of me? What does that mean about me as a man? What does that mean about me as a husband and a father? And what I've been able to do since then is just watch those sensations in my body very, very quickly. I feel really proud of myself, because usually in the past, if I have any sort of fear related to money, it is or fear of failure, it comes along with a lot of story that could sort of abduct my day. But now I'm just seeing it when it arises, and I'm able to let it go pretty quickly. And I'm able to use all of that emotion, which is sort of just like energy. I'm able to use it to fuel me. And I'm able to use it to help me focus. And since that conversation, I have been the most.
Was that your wife being like, "Hey, stop
No.
talking about this"? Oh,
no, I'm defrosting some deer meat. I've been the most productive I've been in my entire career. And I have a fire under my ass that I've never had. And I fucking love it.
So do you think that maybe, so it's a double fire? You found your passion and you're leveraging this insecurity to succeed as energy.
Yes. And I don't know that. I guess it's a little bit of the insecurity. Yeah. And a little bit of like, hey, I made this commitment to my family, to my wife, to do everything in my power to just cover all of our expenses so that we don't have to spend our investments.
I'm a proponent of leveraging insecurity and ego consciously. I mean, I don't want to take my eye off of it so it fucking runs wild.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with I'm going to the beach in 2 weeks. I'm going to see a bunch of people, and I don't want to look like a total fat slob in my bathing suit. I'm going to stop eating after 6 o'clock at night. I'm a proponent of that. And, well, Sevan, that's not going to last forever. You need to change your lifestyle. Well, fuck you. I'm working on it. This is just like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we're not enlightened beings. So because we're not enlightened, we have desires and we have insecurities, and
it's better to leverage it than let it leverage you. Like the other way, by leveraging me, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, I don't want to deal with fucking not eating. I'm just gonna just drink myself into feeling numb so that thought goes away. I mean, that's the other end of it, right?
Yeah.
How often are you doing these soul searching adventures?
About 4 a year. And then we're doing our first what we're calling couples camp this year on our land. That's the only thing I do with women right now. I might do a co-ed soul searching trip at some point.
When you do the soul searching with the dudes, with the boys, that's just you. You don't have any. Adee doesn't go on that.
Correct. And I bring a wilderness guide with us as well.
And how much does it cost?
They're all different. The typical trip is 5 days. So on there, you see the 2023 adventures, the Escalante, Utah, and the Boundary Waters. Those are 5 days, completely immersed in the wilderness. Those are $3,000. And then there's an international one like Bolivia, which are always invite only. And those are more. Those are like in the 5,000 plus range.
And what if I'm freaked out because like in the pictures I see it's like you and Marsden, and like I'm like, oh no, what if they go on a hike and I can't make it? I'm fiddy.
Yeah, I would say that, and part of the thing that I'm screening for when I interview people are you fit? Like there's definitely, you need to consider yourself a fit person, but you don't need to be able to do well in the CrossFit Open necessarily. There's been a wide range of fitness levels of the guys that have gone on these trips. And what I would say is it's something that I recommend training for, And if you're exercising consistently and you train for this, you will be able to do it. And one way to look at it, if it's sort of scary, is you can look at it as a crucible experience, like a really challenging physical experience that is so challenging that it's transformational just in the physical aspect alone.
Oh, it is. I didn't pick that up from it. It is that.
Typically it's not, but for people that are on the lower end of that fitness spectrum, it definitely is. We had a guy going out of the Grand Canyon. It was the hardest physical thing he had ever done in his life, and it almost crushed him. We had to carry his pack for a little while. That moment where he almost wanted to give up, but he didn't really have a choice. We would have had to copter him out. That moment was the most important part for him. And 6 months later, he ends up running a 50K race. So it totally changed his life.
Wow, crazy. How long is the hike out of the Grand Canyon?
They range from 20 to 40 miles.
In a single day?
No, and over the course of the 5 days.
Oh, okay. And then how heavy are the packs?
35-ish.
And what do you do? What's the description of the soul? No, well, what's the description? If someone says, what is the soul searching adventure? What is it? What do you tell them?
Yeah, the shortest answer is it's an epic outdoor adventure with deep introspective work. And what I help men find, some of the most common things I help men with are, number one, finding clarity of their purpose in life, and especially in their work. Men want to do work that is more meaningful. They want to feel connected to their work. They want to feel like what they do actually matters to other people. I help men create deeper relationships. So with other men and with their intimate partners and with their families. And most of, if not all of the guys I work with are considered successful in the traditional sense. A lot of guys that are entrepreneurs and have made lots of money and gotten lots of recognition, but they're unsatisfied with something in their life or many things in their life. And I help them find genuine contentedness and inner peace. And the way that works is we look at 3 areas of life. We look at work, our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with others. And I give a ton of questions and exercises and prompts to guys. And then I just give them a bunch of space to contemplate and write about these things on their own. And then we just come together over and over and discuss what's coming up. And the way that I see my role on these trips is a space holder. I'm there to listen. And when I feel it's appropriate, to help people go deeper into what they're experiencing and to challenge. You know, someone might be telling a story and talking about an experience. And one of my hopes for people is that they can really relive and feel certain experiences. You know, if we're talking about a really troubling or even traumatic experience from the past, sometimes it's important to go back to feel it in our adult bodies and to then reframe the meaning that we made out of that story. And so I'll just help people create enough safety within themselves to go through that process, just as an example.
Jay Hartle says, do I have to take shrooms?
We don't take any shrooms unless you go on an international trip with me. Then we might take some plant medicine. I'm flying a shaman out to Bolivia for that trip, and we're going to build 2 rafts, and then we're going to float down the Amazon, and we're going to drink ayahuasca for a couple days on there. Not on the raft, at a farm along the river.
Holy shit, that sounds wild.
It's wild.
What's the oldest dude you've taken?
50 to 55. And then my dad is actually going to come on a trip with me later this year, which I'm just so stoked for.
What's the youngest dude?
19, 20.
God. The thought of doing that, going on a raft down the Amazon, interests me this much. I'm such a fucking curmudgeon. What a cool fucking adventure. God, you're a fucking good dude, Mr. Cazayoux.
Thank you, bro. I feel the same about you.
What a cool thing. You, man. That thing that you said about, yeah.
Especially an old one.
That thing that you said about, talking about like your job, your relationship with yourself and your relationship with others. That's a good one. That's kind of like a nice thought to leave me with, so I can dig in. Like I would like to think about that today. My thought with my relationship with other people, how are they? My relationship with myself, how is it? And my relationship with my work. It's kind of amazing how many parallels our lives have. It seems like, even though I'm older, it seems like we're in a lot of this same space. We did a lot of shit. We got through a lot of shit, and now we're kind of sowing. We're living off the equity of those experiences, right? Like other people got their PhD in like math, we got our PhD in some other shit that we don't have a piece of paper, but we're trying to package it and share it.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, and also sowing new seeds. You know, we're not resting on what we've done in the past. We're continuing to live at our edge, which I think is a really important aspect of living a full life.
Yeah, if you're a parent, that's you can do that too. Like, because I have these kids that are changing so fast, if I stay present, I can always kind of like live on the edge with them. Make sure that like I'm being the best version of myself, and making sure I'm, I guess, present with them is the best. Did you find CrossFit in rehab?
No, I got out and I trained for and I ran the Salt Lake City Marathon. I trained really hard for it. So hard that I was burnt out after one marathon. And so I was done with that. And I went into a 24-hour fitness a few times, just kind of floundering. And I met a guy who was early on in recovery as well, his name was Bryce. And we went snowboarding a little bit with each other. And then at some point he said, "Hey, I'm doing this new thing called CrossFit. Do you want to come join me?" And I knew the idea of cross training. And so I had no idea what to make of a gym that is called CrossFit. And I went in. It's called CrossFit Energy, NRG, in Salt Lake City. And we were doing Fight Gone Bad. And at the time, you know, I was the most conditioned person on every team I had ever played with, as far as I remember. Even more than all the black kids. They were faster than me, but if we were running hundreds, I was the first. Even though I was smoking a pack a day, I was always in the best shape. And then,
like, just good metabolic capacity, just great. You're ready to get, like, is that what that means? Yes. Conditioned? Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then I had just run a marathon and I won my age division. So I think I'm fucking king of the world.
Right.
You know? And I go in this place and there's a 50-year-old woman. She kicks my ass. Just so bad. So I was so humbled, and I was hooked. I was hooked, partly because out of leveraging insecurity. I didn't want to be. I was like, how can she possibly beat me?
Right.
This can never happen again, right. or like ultimately, I can't let this keep happening. And on the other side, I realized these people are doing like 100 different movements. How fun. And I was hooked very quickly. And it came at the perfect time in my life, because in Alcoholics Anonymous rooms, there's a lot great to say about the community. But, you know, I was 18 years old and there was just too much darkness in the rooms for me. Meanwhile, these CrossFit gyms, there was a lot of growth-minded people that didn't have as much heaviness in their life. And, you know, they were up to something. They were supporting each other. They were, you know, working really fucking hard in the gym. And so much about CrossFit helped helped me heal and recover. And I also, I want to be clear, Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life for sure, but this was just a great thing in addition.
Right. I'm glad to hear you say that about CrossFit. Growth-minded people with growth mindset. But basically, on some level, regardless if you're doing CrossFit, you're taking some sort of personal accountability that kind of and responsibility that sets you apart from a lot of other people currently on the planet.
Yes.
I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, you're always welcome, dude. You're always welcome. It would be fun. When's your next soul searching adventure?
I have one starting March 20th. So it's March 20th through the 26th in Escalante, Utah. And yeah, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Can you talk after you go on one of those trips? I'm sure like a lot of that stuff's private, but can you talk about, is there stories you could share? I'd be curious to talk to you like after you do one of those and like just hear what happened.
What is your question? Do I have stories from these experiences?
I don't know what my question is. Yeah, like you're going to go on this trip and like, can you be like, yeah, dude, this guy fucking cried for a fucking hour and his whole life changed and he called his wife and divorced her right there. Like, can you, or is it like, nah, we see the pictures of the guys, you can't share those stories? Because I'm just curious, like what kind, it'd be cool to talk to you when you come back from one of these and be like, hey dude, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. So some stories I have expressed permission to share, but even anonymously, if I haven't gotten permission, I try to do my best to not share those.
Okay.
But yeah, people are almost without fail, guys are coming on these trips and having really big epiphanies and insights. Yeah. And for some of them, it completely changes their life. You know, there was a guy that came that was, seriously considering divorce. And now he doesn't have a perfect relationship, but it is a great relationship and they have more respect and love. And I'm happy to say that the trip was a big impetus for them coming back together, as an example.
God, divorce scares the shit out of me. Anytime someone tells me they went through a divorce, I know we some people in the comments here have unfucked me before. Well, if you're in an abusive relationship, you got to get out. But man, one of my friends and I are always kind of like high five each other about how stoked we are. We're not divorce bound. Divorce sounds horrible, doesn't it?
Yeah, one of the worst pains.
You ever been divorced? You ever been divorced? No, you're one and done.
One and done. Hopefully, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been married for 6 years.
I don't even know when my anniversary is, so don't worry. I have no fucking clue. We had already had a kid before we got married. We were never gonna get married. A different story. Anyway, I appreciate you being on here, brother. I thank Marston for introducing us, and I consider you a friend. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, hit me up, please.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Likewise, same to you, man. And I haven't gotten any of the equipment yet, but we're in the process of selling a house right now. And so as soon as we sell the house, I'm buying my son all sorts of shit to climb on.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes. Keep me posted and send me photos.
I will, man.
All right. Cheers.
Later.
Bye. I hope you can't hear this. Hey, sorry, that was an auto response. I didn't mean to send you what you need. I was trying to type podcast and it hit what you need. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. Did I lose you? Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm gonna get off the podcast here, and then I'm gonna call you and come find you. Okay, bye. All right. Stop being a bitch. I can't help it. Fuck you guys. I outlasted fucking Michael Cazayoux and fucking that other Brett Pike on my fucking bladder. That's the fucking manliest thing you guys have ever seen me do. No, he wasn't even pissed at all. He thought it was funny. What you need. Can't believe I sent that to him. What if he would have been my boss still? Holy shit.
I almost did that to my supervisor today. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this shit right now.
Yes, always flexing on you guys. Always. Did you kick Michael off? No, I didn't kick him off. Yeah, I kicked him off, but I mean, it was over. Yeah, I do drop everything for Greg. That's true. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Sorry, I told you guys Jason Kleepa was going to be on today, and it was Michael Cazayoux. I had that all fucked up. And but Jason will be here tomorrow, I believe. Until tomorrow, boy, I can't wait till we do our next live call-in show. So much fun shit. Good riddance, Lori Lightfoot from Chicago. Double bird to you, honey. See ya. And bye-bye.